So this cow has come in and she was incredibly lame on that front right foot. This video is the story of the initial trim and the follow-up. Here's hoping it's a good one. This is the Hoof GP. So she was incredibly lame last time. We're clearly at a different farm today, but it's owned by the same person.
So we're actually attending this farm to trim another couple of cows, when Mark, my brother-in-law, asked if it was okay to bring this little heifer back in to see how she was doing. We've got her affected hoof straight up into the air, but before we remove all of this gunk and grime and see what is lurking underneath, let's take a look at how she was just 9 days ago.
So if we just look back at her first visit, I told you when she was standing in the race here, we could see that she was holding her front right foot slightly off the ground because she was in an incredible amount of pain. Once she was in the crush, we got her foot up in the air and that little black spot appeared pretty quickly. After just 2 or 3 swipes of the knife, this is the explosion that we found. As you can see and hear, there was a lot of pressure build up and a huge amount of pus within the hoof capsule itself. We kept trimming, we kept removing layers, and we kept finding more and more cavity space that had been filled with pus.
At this point in the initial trim, the good we had done was obvious. Relieving that huge amount of pressure build-up from the abscess site would have been an immense relief for this cow. But as we delved further and removed more layers of this onion-like hoof, things began to look pretty extreme indeed. Experience lets me know what the outcome of this hoof will be, but I worry sometimes that viewers may not have the confidence that I do. So revisits like the one you're about to see can be hugely enlightening for people who aren't on the mucky end of a cow's hoof. This was clearly one of the more extreme trims on this channel, but I hasten to add, at no point did I cut into the cow. What you're seeing is from the open corium, is within the abscess site itself.
This was an extreme trim, but it was one I was really happy with. We obviously glued on this orange TP block, doused it with iodine, wrapped it up with salicylic acid and let her go. And this is how she was walking. She was on the straw-bedded pen, which obviously helped her with the pain threshold because obviously it's nice and soft. We put her back in her pen and here she is now today, coming off a float at a different farm, ready to be checked. This is how her foot's looking now. This is where the initial problem was, and you can see a small ulcer there. That's where the site of the lesion has been, where the source of all of the pain and where the abscess began to form. You can see parts here that need removed. This is still loose and detached hoof horn here, and this is corium that is now hardened up, dried out, and begun to form and build new hoof horn. Clearly this area is still open and actually there's a slight bit of bloody even from us just washing that area. This is all loose and detached. So we need to make sure we keep going and remove all those little flaps of hoof horn, otherwise it won't make a full recovery. Oh, no knife required, look.
These revisits are absolutely essential. If you want this cow to get over a problem that's been as major as this, it stands to complete reason that a small check like this can do the world of good. The healing process could be going in completely the wrong direction, and this is our only chance to intervene.
You can see actually there's a layer of hoof horn here covering up a small cavity, and it's problems like that that would really turn into large problems if we didn't rectify them right now. Clearly she's making a really good progress with this recovery, but these small changes that we're making during this visit add up to a massive change in the culmination of her actually healing fully. See the separation there, look? And the dirt's working its way up that crack, up the outer wall horn, and it'll just keep separating if we don't do this. You may think, oh look, it's well on its way to recovery, leave well alone. Well, trust me, that is not the case. Don't get me wrong though, we're really not going to be doing much to her at all this visit. As little as possible, but as much as needed, if that makes sense. See, that is detached though. This is exposed corium, and as you can see, all of this was exposed before, but it's growing in the way and covering up this part of the exposed tissue below. This will completely heal, just takes a little bit more time than what it's had already. Remember, this has only been about 2.5 weeks since we've been here, and she's made a huge improvement so far. All we're going to do now is tidy up this little hook part so that it doesn't get caught on anything, and dress this, and she'll be good to go. If you look closely, you can see this granulation, and that could be the start of digital dermatitis. We really don't want to hinder the progress of this foot, so we need to kill that dermatitis. But because it's not a huge infection, this Repoderma should sort it out. Now, we always trim all 4 feet, but in this case, it's literally been a couple of weeks since they were done, and they're in the air, so we can have a look to make sure they don't need any minor adjustments, and we won't actually trim them. Look, not clean, but still perfectly functional. And the same again here. We do a wider model on this outside claw because this is the typical sole ulcer site where they usually get problems, and by dishing this area out, it alleviates that site from any pain from the bone above. Lovely. One of the guys who I learn from and who I'm constantly being checked by is a guy called Nick Bell, and Nick Bell's got this little saying, spray, dry and reapply. I've just headbutted that. Spray, dry and reapply, and what he means is you spray the lesion, you let it dry, and then just before you drop it, you reapply it, just to get as much on there as possible. And that's her good to go. Just look at how she walks. Like I said, this cow is not from this farm. Clearly we trimmed her for the first time at a different farm, but because we're at this farm today, they brought her down just to make sure that she is well and truly on the road to recovery. Craig's just about to let her go so we can see her walking back on to her taxi home. And as you can see there, she's walking completely perfectly. You could, in one respect, say that she is completely healed because she's now walking perfectly and pain-free. But in another respect, if that block fell off, she would be back in pain because it's still an open lesion. But it is well on the way to recovery. This was a job well done, and one that I'm very happy about. Guys, this is the Hoof GP. Thanks for watching again. A lot of people think they've subscribed to this channel when they actually haven't clicked the button. If you click that subscribe or follow button on Facebook, then you'll get updates on the cow's progress just like this. Right guys, from me and from these boys, it's goodbye for now. Ciao!